But with Do the Right Thing, the heat brought out the worst in people, and at the end, it just came to a head. So the whole movie, it was bubbling, it was boiling, it was in the fucking crock pot, the pressure cooker. You see the steam coming up, you see the bubbles and shit, and the food seeping out of there. And then at the end, it just came to a fucking explosion. Boom! Alright, y'all, welcome to another episode of Tit for Tat. I got my boy Anthony A. Perez on this video with me. We're going to be talking about Do the Right Thing. So, if you're new to the channel, Tit for Tat is where we pick out movies for each other that we normally would not watch. So, Anthony A. Perez, he has me watch a lot of Disney joints. And on the flip side, I have him watch a lot of throwback black movies that he's probably not seen. You know, he's a little bit younger than myself, so I got to bring him up to speed. And he's getting me to get in touch with my inner Disney side. So without further ado, the floor is yours, my man. What did you think of Do the Right Thing?
What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much to everybody and Rashad for having me in this video. And yeah, he wanted me to watch Do the Right Thing. So this is a film that stars and is directed by Spike Lee and has so many other great faces in here. You have Giancarlo Esposito in here, you have John Turturro, you have so many other big faces, Samuel L. Jackson. I could just literally keep on listing, and there's just so many really cool faces right out of the gate. That's something I really enjoyed about this film, was I didn't really know who was in this movie. I knew nothing about this movie. I had heard about it, I'd seen the poster before. I definitely understand how it's a cult classic after seeing this movie. But yeah, I'd never really checked it out. I'd never seen anything or heard anything about the film itself outside of the poster and its name. And going and checking it out, I had a good time with it, man. I did enjoy it. I appreciate you recommending this film to me. I enjoyed the overall message by the end of the film. You know, violence is essentially no way to get past any sort of racial progression, anything that has to do with prejudice or anything like that. And yeah, I really enjoyed the film's message at the end of the day and what it's really about. There's definitely a lot of themes, again, about prejudice and racism and different things like that, police brutality and all those different kinds of things. And yeah, it definitely has a really solid message. It's a little heavy-handed at times, but yeah, I enjoyed the message on an overall level. But as for the film goes on an overall level, I enjoyed it. I did have a good time with it. There are a lot of things about it I wasn't crazy about, and for the majority of the runtime, I can say I was kind of bored at times. I did enjoy a lot of the performances and the overall feel and vibe of the film. I feel like Spike Lee definitely got the tone down of this film, but I just felt like a lot of the characters really didn't matter to me. I found myself actually caring for some of the side characters more than anybody. The character I enjoyed the most was the mayor. I found him to be the most funny character and the one character that I was enjoying his journey the most. But then there was characters like Mother's Sister, who was kind of part of his story, that I kind of found to be just kind of like a really weird, unbalanced character. And that's kind of how I felt about a lot of the characters in this film, is that there's a lot of characters that just kind of feel underdeveloped or unbalanced. One moment they're kind of funny and they're kind of lighthearted and an enjoyable character, and the next time you see them, they're kind of a pain in the ass and kind of, I feel like, a little bit over the top. And that's kind of how I felt about this movie, was I felt like that when it was kind of boring, it was pretty boring, and when it was like big and over the top, it was big and over the top. I feel like the whole final climax of things that take place at Sal's restaurant really just blew up and just kept getting bigger, was just escalating so quick, so much quicker than I thought it really would have. I just didn't really feel as much emotionally as I was hoping to in those moments, and I think that has a lot to do with throughout the film. I just didn't feel emotionally attached to any of the characters, and that's not to say I didn't like this movie, but yeah, I want to say I sit in the middle. I enjoyed watching it, but I wasn't really in love with it. I enjoyed a lot about it. I enjoyed the feel and vibe. This movie came out in 1989, so it definitely has that late 80s, early 90s feel, vibe, and the clothing, the way that they speak, the things that are going on. And yeah, I enjoyed the film by the end of it, but I kind of felt like it was similar to like a movie like Friday, right? A movie where it's just kind of about the neighborhood. It's just about the people in there, and it's kind of like the small dialogue moments with characters and characters coming in and out. And it's not really plot-driven film. It really doesn't pick up until the very end of the film, and it's really just more about seeing this small community. And I really enjoyed that. I liked being able to see this small community and kind of all the people that knew each other, and that kind of everybody just kind of roaming the streets and just kind of connecting in that way. I thought that was pretty cool. Obviously, I think, Rashad, if I'm not mistaken, you are from New York, right? So I'm sure you can connect with this on a deeper level, especially in this time frame and people just walking around and having those kind of discussions. Obviously, the world's a lot different now. But yeah, I enjoyed the way this film was shot. I enjoyed the performances for the most part, though Spike Lee didn't really give the greatest performance here for me. His character, Mookie, who is the main character in this film, didn't really do it for me. I kind of found him to be a bit of an annoying character. He was kind of unbalanced. Sometimes I found him to be kind of likable and funny and enjoyable, and other times I kind of found him to be an asshole. And at the end of the day, I really didn't know how to feel about his character, and that's kind of how I felt about a lot of characters in this movie. There's a lot of, like I said, a lot of big faces. There's people like Martin Lawrence in this film, but his role is just kind of whatever. You know, there's not really much to him and a lot of the other characters in this film. So this is not a film that I walked away completely in love with, but I enjoyed a lot about it, and I think that obviously there's no way you can finish this movie and not take something away from the overall message of violence and prejudice and all that kind of stuff in this movie. So yeah, I appreciate you having me in this video, Rashad. I appreciate you giving me the suggestion, man. It's nice to always check out new movies, and yeah, this movie has a lot of really good positive reviews online, which surprised me a little bit because I definitely am not so much on the side of positivity as far as this movie goes on an overall level, but I did enjoy checking it out, and it was cool to see something I hadn't checked out. So big thanks to you for having me in this video. So let's give it back to you, man.
Whoa, yeah, I wasn't expecting that, big dog. I wasn't expecting that. Wow. Well, you know, it's good to know that you didn't hate the movie, okay? I'm surprised you didn't love it. This movie is so, man, you didn't love this movie, bruh? But you know what? I get it. It's 30 years old. This is a 30-year-old film, and maybe it just hasn't, I don't know, maybe it just hasn't aged well enough where the younger generation can appreciate it. Now, my personal experience with this movie, I borrowed the VHS tape from my cousin, and he had School Days was on there first. That was Spike Lee's second movie. So School Days was on the tape first, and then Do the Right Thing was right after that. So that's back when you could put 2 or 3 movies on one tape. So yeah, so Do the Right Thing was, I guess, the B-side of the tape. And I watched it for the first time, and from the opening dance sequence in the beginning, the intro with Rosie Perez, Fight the Power, Public Enemy, Elvis was a hero the most, but he never meant shit to me. You know how the song goes. From that opening, Fight the Power, I was hooked. I was drawn in. Do the Right Thing is not really a character-driven movie. Spike Lee, this is just my opinion now, Spike Lee made this movie because he wanted to tackle all the issues of racism, and we haven't seen that a lot in movies, you know what I mean? So Spike put it right there in front of us like, look, this is what these different race groups think about each other. There's even a scene in the movie where a person from each race says what they feel about the other race. So, for example, the Italian, John Turturro, he talked about black people. You know, the Spike Lee character, Mookie, he talked about Italian people. The Korean shop owner, he talked about Jewish people. And the cop, which was Danny Aiello's son, he played Sal in the movie. He talked about Puerto Ricans, and Puerto Ricans talked about, I think the Puerto Ricans talked about the Italians too. So yeah, so every race was hating on each other. So will I say Do the Right Thing is a pro-black movie? Probably not, because every race had their say in here, and nobody was painted as being perfect. And okay, and Anthony, you said that you know, some of the characters were like not really balanced really well, like where one moment they're funny and likable, then the next minute they're being douchebags and asshole. That's human nature, bro. Like, all of us, even myself, have days where we're funny, we're lighthearted, but some days I could be a prick, some days I could be difficult, human nature. So I think Spike Lee really didn't concentrate on, okay, let me develop these characters, but what he did was he took real people and put them in a real situation. Okay, and how are these people acting in these situations? And the Heat in this movie is the antagonist, because the Heat is what brought out the worst in everybody. So just like in today's times, everybody tries to be PC, everybody tries to be, polite. And even though you may think about a certain person, a certain race in a certain way, but you're not going to come out and tell them that, okay? But with Do the Right Thing, the Heat brought out the worst in people, and at the end, it just came to a head. So the whole movie, it was bubbling, it was boiling, it was in the fucking crock pot, the pressure cooker. You see the steam coming up, you see the bubbles and shit, and the food seeping out of there. And then at the end, it just came to a fucking explosion. Boom! And then everything fucking just went to shit. Reddy Raheem got killed. Sal's Pizza Shop got destroyed. And it just everything just came to a head. And I think this is one of the first times you've seen that in a movie where they addressed all the races and what each race thought of each other. And it's funny how, with the Italians, how Italians think of black people. And it's crazy because some of my favorite movies are Italian movies, like Goodfellas and Raging Bull, Casino, Godfather. Like, I love those movies. The Sopranos is my favorite show. and they have no love for the brothers at all. they fucking hate on us, yo. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. But Anthony, I totally understand what you're saying. That there's sometimes where the movie does really slow down. It kind of comes to a halt, and like you said, there's not really much character development. But I think Spike wasn't going for that. Spike was going for showing real people, okay, what people really think about each other, and then showing America like, hey, there's times to be real, and I mean there's times to be polite, and then there's times to be real. Wasn't that the intro to The Real World? Giancarlo Esposito, Gustavo himself, is Bugging Out. I didn't like Bugging Out's character. Bugging Out to me was the reason why a lot of this shit went bad. Okay, the whole thing about him wanting to boycott Sal's because there was no pictures of black people on the wall. First of all, okay, I'm gonna call a spade, and I'm not saying Rita Raheem deserved to die. But all that shit could have been avoided if your boy would have just said, you know what, yeah, there's Italian people on the wall, whatever, I'm going to get my pizza and I'm going home. But nah, he figured because he spends money there every day buying pizza, he has a right to have a say on who's on the wall. Motherfucker, you don't own that place, all right? It says Sal, like your boy said, this is Sal's Pizzeria, all right? So Sal can put whatever the fuck you want to put on the wall. If you don't like it, go to Daddy Green's Pizza across the way, owned by Leroy's Pops, all right? Go over there. Don't fuck with Sal. So yeah, even as a kid watching it, I blame Bugging Out for getting Rita Raheem killed, and that was a very disturbing scene. That to this day, when I watch it, I get angry because a lot of that goes on today. So yeah, this movie's kind of old and a little bit dated, but a lot of it still applies to today because there's still police brutality, there's still black people getting killed by the cops, and being murdered, despite what some people say, like, well, if they weren't resisting arrest, well, if they just comply, man, kick rocks, kill yourself, drink bleach, all right? Nah. I guess being from New York myself, I grew up in Long Island, New York. I could relate to a lot of the shit that's in this movie, even though this took place in Bed-Stuy. Brooklyn! Where Brooklyn at? Where Brooklyn at? I could relate to a lot of this movie, y'all. So, all right, wrapping this up, y'all. Like I said, I can go on and on about this movie, from Public Enemy Fight the Power to the comedy, the jokes landed, but then when the shit got real, it got really real. And then even the message in here, you know what I'm saying? There's even a scene where Spike Lee and the John Turturro character are talking about, how John Turturro, he's racist, like he hates black people, but his favorite entertainers, his favorite people are all black. His favorite basketball players, Magic Johnson, favorite singers, Prince, favorite actors, Eddie Murphy. So it's like, oh, you talk about nigga this and nigga that, but all your favorite people are so-called niggas, and that's relevant now, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, this movie did have a lot of message in it that still translates to today. But, yeah, I can see if you've never seen this before and you see it now, yeah, it might be a little slow to you, might drag a little bit, and I understand that, y'all. But to me, Do the Right Thing is a perfect movie, so summing it up, I'm going to give Do the Right Thing an A++++++++ in this motherfucker. Right on. A+ for Do the Right Thing. Have you guys seen it? Comment below, let me know freely below. I think I said that kind of twisted, but I'm tired, y'all. I've been driving all day, man. So yeah, comment freely below. Don't forget to subscribe to my man, Anthony A. Perez. I'm going to leave the link down in the description. Subscribe to his channel, man. Show him some love. And thank you, Perez, for being in this video with me. And I'm shocked that you didn't love the movie, but hey, man, all this shit's subjective, man, so I can't hate on you for not really digging it, man. But anyways, this is Rashad G signing out. See you in the next video.